Imagine living in a beautiful country, but there is a big problem. The rich people have everything, and the poor people have nothing. You work all day, but you cannot even afford to buy bread for your children. Your family is starving. Meanwhile, the king lives in a golden palace and throws massive parties every single night. What would you do? Would you stay quiet, or would you fight back? This is the dramatic story of the French Revolution. It is a story of anger, hope, and how ordinary people changed the world forever. Hi, and welcome to Daily English Origins. Are you learning English? Great! Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started. The year is 1789. France is one of the richest and most powerful countries in Europe. It has beautiful cities, strong armies, and brilliant writers. But behind this beautiful picture, there is deep inequality. This is called inequality. Inequality happens when some people have many advantages and other people have none. In France, a small number of people were very wealthy, while millions of people lived in extreme poverty. The country was like a bomb, just waiting to explode. To understand the French Revolution, we must understand how French society was organized. The society was divided into three strict groups. These groups were called estates. The first estate was the clergy. The clergy were the religious leaders of the Catholic Church. They owned a lot of land and did not pay any taxes. The second estate was the nobility. The nobility were the rich families with special titles like lords and dukes. They controlled the army and the government. They also paid almost no taxes. Together, the clergy and the nobility made up only 2% of the population, but they held all the power and all the wealth. The third estate was everyone else. This group made up 98% of the people in France. It included poor farmers, city workers, teachers, doctors, and business owners. Life for the third estate was extremely difficult. They had to pay heavy taxes to the king. They had to pay taxes to the church. They even had to pay taxes to the rich landowners. After paying all these taxes, a poor farmer had almost nothing left to feed his family. They worked from sunrise to sunset, but they could never improve their lives. The system was completely unfair, and the people were growing angry. The ruler of France at this time was King Louis XVI. He lived in a giant, beautiful palace called Versailles. King Louis was not an evil man, but he was a weak leader. He did not understand the struggles of ordinary people. His wife was Queen Marie Antoinette. She came from Austria. The French people did not like her. She spent millions of dollars on fancy dresses, expensive jewelry, and huge parties. While the people in Paris were hungry, the king and queen lived in a bubble of luxury. They did not see the dark clouds gathering over their country. Soon, France faced a massive financial crisis. A financial crisis happens when a government or person has no money left to pay their bills. How did France lose all its money? The kings of France fought many expensive wars. Recently, King Louis XVI sent money and soldiers to help the Americans fight the British in the American Revolution. This helped America win its freedom, but it left France completely broke. The French government was in heavy debt. The king needed more money quickly, but he could not squeeze any more taxes out of the poor commoners. As if the high taxes were not bad enough, nature turned against France. In 1788, France suffered a terrible winter. The snow was heavy, and the spring brought violent rainstorms. These storms destroyed the crops in the fields. Because the crops died, there was a shortage of wheat. A shortage means there is not enough of something. Without wheat, bakeries could not make bread. Bread was the most important food for the poor people of France. Suddenly, the price of bread exploded. A single loaf of bread cost a worker's entire monthly salary. People were literally starving in the streets. Hunger quickly turned into violent anger. King Louis XVI was desperate. His country was out of money and his people were starving. He decided to call a huge meeting. This meeting was called the Estates General. It brought together representatives from all three groups: the clergy, the nobility, and the commoners. The king only wanted to talk about taxes. However, the representatives of the Third Estate, the commoners, wanted much more. They wanted fairness. They wanted a new set of rules to limit the king's power. They wanted equal rights for everyone. They brought the hopes and the anger of millions of poor people to the meeting. The old world was about to break apart. The king and the rich nobles tried to ignore the Third Estate. They even locked the doors to the meeting hall so the commoners could not go inside. But the representatives did not give up. They went to a large indoor tennis court nearby. There, they made a powerful promise. They promised to stay together until they created a constitution. A constitution is a written set of rules that explains how a country is run. They called themselves the National Assembly. They decided they would take the power away from the king and give it to the people. King Louis XVI was afraid. He sent thousands of soldiers to surround Paris. The poor people in the city panicked. They believed the king was going to kill them. They needed weapons to defend themselves. On July 14th, 1789, a huge, angry crowd attacked a dark stone prison called the Bastille. The Bastille was a symbol of the king's cruel power. The people fought the guards, broke down the doors, and stole the weapons inside. This violent event started a massive rebellion. A rebellion happens when people use force to fight against their leaders. The French Revolution had truly begun. After the Bastille fell, the National Assembly moved very quickly. In August 1789, they wrote a very famous document. It was called the Declaration of the Rights of Man. This document boldly stated that all men are born free and have equal rights. It said that the power of the government comes from the people, not from a king. The revolution gained a powerful new motto: liberty, equality, fraternity. Fraternity means a deep feeling of friendship and brotherhood among people. These ideas gave immense hope to the poor commoners. Despite the beautiful new laws, the people of Paris were still starving. The price of bread was still too high. In October 1789, thousands of angry women marched 12 miles in the cold rain. They marched from Paris all the way to the king's golden palace at Versailles. They carried knives and heavy sticks. They demanded bread for their children. The loud, angry crowd forced the king and his family to leave their quiet palace. The royal family was taken back to the dirty, crowded streets of Paris. The ordinary people now controlled the king. Are you enjoying the story of the French Revolution so far? If you are learning new English words today, please take a quick moment to click the like button and subscribe to Daily English Origins. It really helps the channel grow so we can make more stories for you. Now, let's see what happens to the frightened king. King Louis XVI felt like a prisoner in his own country. In June 1791, he made a terrible mistake. In the middle of the night, the king and his family dressed up as ordinary servants. They secretly left Paris and tried to escape to Austria. However, a local man recognized the king because his face was printed on a French coin. The guards arrested the royal family in a small town called Varennes. They brought the king back to Paris in shame. The French people felt totally betrayed. They believed the king was guilty of treason. Other kings in Europe were watching France closely. The rulers of Austria and Prussia were terrified. They worried that the revolution would spread to their own countries. They threatened to attack France to protect King Louis. In response, the French revolutionaries declared war on them. The war went badly at first. Enemies approached Paris. Panic and fear spread through the streets. Soon, radicals took control of the government. A radical is someone who wants extreme and immediate changes in society. These radical leaders believed the king was a spy. They officially removed the king from power. France became a republic. The radical leaders put King Louis XVI on trial. They found him guilty of treason against his own people. On January 21st, 1793, they took the king to a public square in Paris. A scary machine called the guillotine stood in the center. The guillotine was a heavy falling blade used to chop off heads quickly. King Louis tried to speak to his people, but loud drums drowned out his voice. The heavy blade fell. The king was dead. This was a public execution. An execution is when a government officially kills someone as a punishment. The revolution had crossed a line of no return. The whole world stood in shock. The new radical leader of France was a man named Maximilien Robespierre. Under his rule, the government became very extreme. Robespierre acted like a dictator. A dictator is a ruler who has total power over a country and allows no freedom. He started a dark and bloody period known as the Reign of Terror. He believed that the revolution had hidden enemies everywhere. If someone simply complained about the price of bread, they were arrested as an enemy. Thousands of innocent people lost their heads to the guillotine. Fear ruled the streets of Paris. Eventually, The violence became too extreme for anyone to tolerate. The people were exhausted from the constant killing. Even the radical leaders became terrified of Robespierre, wondering who he would kill next. In a dramatic turn of events, Robespierre's own men turned against him. He was arrested in 1794. He faced the exact same fate as his victims. Robespierre was executed by the guillotine. The reign of terror finally ended, but France was deeply wounded. After the terror, France was completely exhausted. The economy was still broken, and the streets were messy. The people were deeply traumatized by years of war and public executions. The new government was weak and corrupt. Many poor commoners wondered if all the blood and fighting was actually worth it. They still did not have enough food. They desperately wanted peace, order, and safety. In the middle of this chaos, a new hero emerged. His name was Napoleon Bonaparte. He was not a king or a wealthy noble. He was a brilliant young military general. Napoleon led the French army to many incredible victories against foreign enemies. The French people saw him as a strong, capable leader. They believed he was the only man who could protect them, fix the broken nation, and bring glory back to France. In 1799, Napoleon used his loyal army to take control of the weak French government. This type of sudden, illegal takeover is called a coup. A coup happens when a small, powerful group uses military force to steal control of a country. Napoleon quickly declared himself the absolute leader of France. With Napoleon firmly in charge, the French Revolution officially ended. France traded its wild, chaotic freedom for strong and strict leadership. The French Revolution was over, but its powerful ideas could never be killed. The revolution completely destroyed the old system of kings, queens, and greedy nobles. It planted the deep seeds of democracy. Democracy is a system of government where ordinary people vote to choose their leaders. The fierce French motto of liberty, equality, fraternity quickly spread across Europe and inspired ordinary people all over the entire world. The story of the French Revolution teaches us a deep lesson about the human spirit. It shows that true change is often violent, messy, and incredibly painful. But it also proves that people have amazing resilience. When humans are pushed into darkness, they will fight bravely to find the light. The ordinary men and women of France stood up against centuries of unfair power because they believed in a better, fairer tomorrow. Their struggle echoes through history, reminding us that the power of the people is stronger than the people in power. Hey there, just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.